Hey, so this is part three of my in-depth guide to the Beryls and Shajads in Anima Beyond Fantasy. In the description of this video, if you have gotten to this one before the other two, I'd recommend you click one of the links to get to the first or second video. But assuming this is the third one and you're here to see the third one, we are starting with Azrael, a Beryl, the Queen of Swords. Azrael is the warrior of the light, the bearer who represents the concepts of good and justice. This is a combative entity always ready to employ violence in the defense of the innocent and all principles she personifies. She is a rather tumultuous story. At the beginning, she was as peaceful as Mikhail or Raphael and devoted to helping everyone equally, but little by little, she started to witness daily massacres of innocent victims who were not helped by any of the principles she stood for. All the pain, suffering, and death influenced her deeply in her decision to fight for all those who deserve protection and justice. Since then, her philosophy has moved into a more violent direction, its goal being to confront evil and darkness, even if this means going against some of Ciel's ideas, whom she professes true devotion for. She is the Beryl who faces the Shads and the forces of darkness most directly. She combats their agents and followers and is at all-out war with them. In the very few occasions CL requires use of violence, it is usually Azrael's agents and paladins she relies on. She is the precept heroes incarnate, as well as those who fight to defend those in need, even at the expense of their own lives. So if you want to make the real like paladin in the world, this one's the one you go with for the most part. Or if you want to play a more martial priest. So let's start with their abilities. So like most barrel and shot, their first ability gives you a bonus to your secondary ability. Hers is to leadership. Leadership is a skill with no mechanics, so it's up to your DM to give it mechanics or to make it useful, or else this ability is useless. Generally, my suggestion to a DM who's like, "How do I make this ability useful?" I'd say, if you're leading people in mass combat or just a bunch of NPCs, or hell, if you want to go as far giving it to your party, give them a TN to a leadership check, and if they succeed, give everyone like a plus 10 or 20 action bonus. Something small but worthwhile. Something that's good enough to make it so that your next action's a negative 25 in your turn, but still good. Because as long as you're buffing two people like a plus 20, then suddenly the fact you take a minus 25 isn't a big deal because you're giving a net plus 15 just over two other individuals affected by it. And then the more you affect, the better it gets. The value of heroes. The character is armed with unusual courage and basically gains a composure bonus to his secondary ability equal to his land. Again, composure has a bit more mechanics, especially in the GM toolkit for avoiding going insane and stuff. So I wouldn't recommend this ability to be honest, though, because it doesn't come up enough unless the campaign is built around horror themes, which Anima can accommodate. It's just a campaign by campaign thing, where this skill is useful if your DM likes the composure skill and likes to make it so you roll it, but it's not if they don't. Simple as that. Exaltation of the spirit. The character heightens the sense of justice of those they are encountering with them and leads them to awareness of the importance of good conduct. This is purely a role-playing ability and also an ability to make sure your NPC companions more aligned to your ideals. It's actually a pretty good combination of leader because it then has your followers believe in what you believe in more naturally without you having to actually convince them. And that's all I can really say about it. If you're only into the power gaming stuff, this is not an ability you take, obviously. But to be honest, if you're going with a barrel and shots, you're probably not power gaming. You're looking to have cool, flavorful abilities, and this is one of them. Sense of justice. It allows the bearer to sense an unjust or evil act being committed in the surroundings. It does not provide exact information on the perpetrator. The higher the LM, the more precise the ability and greater the coverage. If you've played D&D, this is detect evil, or also detect injustice. If you're like playing in a campaign where maybe your character's a vigilante, this is a cool ability because then you can go in like Batman style and like just know where crime's happening and stop it. Though you need a fair amount of land to pinpoint the exact location, just knowing the vague direction of crime or injustice or evil is nice to be able to combat it more effectively. This is also is a great ability as well for like just straight up gameplay because this means that it detects acts, but in theory it would also detect creatures who commonly make these evil acts as well. Sacred spirits. Characters closest to Azrael affects their essence and makes them holy beings. From then on, their whole essence is inundated by a potent positive energy, and they obtain a status similar to that of pure light elemental. A potent benign aura will appear as a result of supernatural protection performed on the individual with sacred spirit. What does this mean? Well, it's a role playing ability. It's something that you can leverage to your DM saying, hey, look, I would have a better chance of talking to this light elemental because they might see me as their kin, basically. Beyond that, if an inquisitor or someone is like reading people's supernatural auras and they see you have this, they'd probably leave you alone, even if you're some sort of dark dealing wizard. But you still happen to pertain to the ideals of Azrael. It's one of those things. And finally, we get to our first actual like ability that does stuff. Power aura. Your aura extends out and destroys all sorts of dark or evil creatures that may approach him or her. The coverage area is equal to half your land yards, and any negative natured being in its radius. So this, by the way, that means basically any darkness elemental or most shot agents have to make an MR or PHR check with difficulty equal to twice your land level every 5 turns, and if they take damage equal to half the failure. So just because someone's evil doesn't mean they're affected by the aura. It affects negative natured beings. So the average brigand or bandit will be immune to this, but if they're like a true villain whose essence is basically inundated with darkness in the lore of the world, then that means they'll be affected by the power aura. So this does not work against people who are just kind of evil. It only works against people who are actually fully inundated with darkness and fully evil. Not just your average thief or bandit or brigand will be affected by this aura. Or it should be. Again, up to the DM. Immunity. It grants immunity from evil supernatural powers. You ignore any mystic or psychic ability that requires you to roll a resistance check lower than your land level, plus 40. So that's really good. That means at this point, you ignore any MR or PSYR check that is lower than as 100 or lower. Or does it only say lower? Lower. So 99 or lower. So that's not that great. But once you get to about 10 more land, no, not 10 more. You need to be 80 land. 80, no, 90. 90, that's where it is. 90 is when this ability gets good. Because then you're immune to the average effect of 120. The one you'll see the most common is at 90. So you could get there in theory. It would be a big pain, but the issue though is that once you're at 90 a land, like I said, at that point you're round level 10. And at that point the goalposts get pushed forward a bit. And 120 is the number, it's more like 140, 160, 180, right? So at that point, the ability honestly is only useful when you're fighting weaker enemies, which isn't a good ability to have because being good at fighting evil weaker enemies is not good because everyone's good at fighting people weaker than them. Uh, yeah. So it's kind of meh, to be honest. It does make you immune to like certain abilities effects from like the minions of an antagonist, so it's not like useless, but it's like not as good as it looks on paper at all. Destroyer of Evil. You deal double damage to a dark or a naturally evil creature. Yeah, it works for physical attacks, spells, or whatever, as long as it's direct damage. It doubles it. This is really good. If you're fighting a lot of bad guys who are evil enough to be hurt by your power aura, when you use Destroyer of Evil on them, they take double damage. That's just really good. Even if you only ever fight a few guys every now and again that you just deal double damage to, it's pretty good. I like it. And if you're in a campaign where like you are defeating on evil, which you need to do to get to this point in a land probably, then yeah, no, this is a good power pickup. If you're fighting lots of darkness elementals or people who are evil enough that they are considered negative natured beings, then yeah, no, this is great. Blessed. You are blessed by Azrael. And whenever you attempt to destroy an evil creature or perform a truly fair action, it gives you a +10 in any check in connection to that purpose. Or if you want to spend an Alarm point permanently, you can get a +30 instead. But just for that turn. You never use the secondary half as effect probably, but the first half is pretty good. I like it. +10 for free against fighting evil. That's pretty good. As long as you are acting fairly, it's just good. Yeah. No, pretty good. Azrael Warrior. This is a good one because it gives you an extra point in Strength and Dex due to your community of Azrael. Yeah, stat points are pretty good. That's like me giving you 400 experience or only giving you stat points, so it's like a level basically, is what this is worth right here. You level up and gain a strength and dexterity point. You don't get the DP, but you get the stats instead. That's pretty good. If you're going down this route, you pick it up because if you're a warrior of sorts, it's useful. And even if you're like a wizard or a mentalist, dexterity is a good stat because it dictates your bonus to magical projection and psychic projection. So pretty good. Pick it up. Consecrating. You're able to introduce a part of your sacred essence into a place or object, thus endowing with their blessing. Consecrated weapons carry 50% additional base damage against dark and evil natured creatures, while consecrated places will be protected against their intrusion, making them have to roll a 140 MR check or they can't walk through. The consecration lasts for 1 hour for every 10 Alarm points, and if you want to permanently consecrate someone, you lose 1 Alarm point. Unfortunately, the consecration bonus does not stack with Destroyer of Evil. So, what you could do though, this is still a good power, even for the roleplay and for the mechanical stuff. So roleplay, this is really cool. This is you doing your paladin thing. Something cool you could do with this power is if this is like the if you guys are going on this long adventure and you know you're gonna be fighting a lot of evil creatures and you want your friend to be equally useful, then you can just consecrate their weapons. Don't even need to do it permanently because at this point the consecration lasts 9 hours. There's no point in ever sacrificing the Elan to make a weapon permanently consecrated unless like you're basically enchanting it and want to give it an extra power on top of what it already had, and then giving it to someone else, or an NPC might do it permanently as a part of making a magical weapon for someone on a holy crusade, for example. But basically, you could touch a food's weapon, and then for 9 hours, or no, yeah, 9 hours in this case, because he had 90 Elan, you guys are just really good at killing evil. Very good. It's a very good buff to give to your allies. And at the same point, if at some point you need to like rest or something in like a very dangerous place, you just concentrate the ground. And then at least for 9 hours, you know you'll be safe from people trying to break your shit, or at least have a warding when they come in and go, "What the fuck is this barrier?" The final ability is Yud. Azrael's chosen one becomes her right hand in the fight against evil and darkness. And she is empowered to declare Holy Ward, or Yihad, to destroy or protect whatever is worth protecting or destroying. Very interesting wording, but Yihad works as a call to all those with a higher sense of justice and allows them to sense the reason why they are needed. Whoever responds to it will be immune to the effects of fear and terror and will also gain the capability of fighting consciously and without negative bonuses, even in a state between life and death. The outreach of the call lies in the hands of Azrael's chosen one. It may affect the inhabitants of a certain town, or be made to cover the entire world. So, this ability is really great for roleplay. But it can also be great mechanically too, because you could, pull an NPC move and call upon the greatest champions of the world to aid you in this holy quest. And the guys who show up are going to help you in this holy quest. And they're not running away because they're immune to fear and terror. At the worst case, this is an aura around you at all times where all your friends and allies are immune to fear and terror, as well as you. And you don't get any negative bonuses while fighting. So it's really good. Just for that aura effect, it's really good. And if you're like fighting the final boss or whatever, or the big bad guy who's in your way, you can call forth an army to help you back you up to face down this great final injustice. Or you can just call armies whatever you want, you know. It just says whatever you think deserves to be destroyed or protected. So really, you just get a fucking army that just follows you around because they're like, yeah, this sounds good. So how do you get a land? Well, up until 50, all you gotta do is protect the innocent, destroy evil or dark entities, destroy lots of them, prevent evil acts, defending justice, stopping or destroying a shot agent, or just becoming a hero. Really, a lot of ways to do it, real easy at 50. If you want to go beyond 50, you have to perform a relevant heroic act that's vague enough that it's all probably easy to get, as long as you're a very heroic character. Destroying a powerful evil creature, again, if you're the kind of character or campaign where you're fighting a lot of bad guys, this is great. You destroy powerful evil creatures all the time, so you get 2 every session probably. That's 3 every session you might get. Because destroying a powerful evil creature is also potentially a relevant heroic act. Saving the lives of a large number of innocents is more niche and unlikely to happen, but if it does, hey, it's 2 in. And stopping a shot plan. This one is a bit tough. And you might get this one without knowing it. Because you might, being a paladin of sorts, might just stumble on to the shot plan, right? Because you're sensing evil and just stopping it. And then you just so happen to stop a shot plan by killing someone important to the plan. You lose a land for committing an evil act, taking an innocent person's life, or collaborating with the forces of darkness. So don't be an asshole when you're good. Basically, it's real easy. She's a good one, just to have. Next is probably the exact opposite. Abaddon, the prime evil. Well, evil. Abaddon was originally the only Shad able to find a place for himself in the structure of reality. Indecisive, he ended up by absorbing in his essence all the minor negative feelings not related to his companions, like disgust, envy, anger, or pride. However, he did not feel attached to those emotions, and to increase his importance, he decided to personify the very principle of evil itself. As a form of mockery to all the Beryls represent, his favorite incarnation is the traditional Christian devil, the figure of the fallen angel, which symbolizes all the sins of men and where he derives his name from. In time, he has come to feel exceptionally attached to his representation, to the point of considering it the main aspect of his being. He is constantly competing with the other Shads for power and conspiring against Jeddah and Masejuis to overtake their predominance. He is completely absorbed by the precept he has chosen and the role he plays, so he delights himself causing tragedies and spreading evil. His followers are usually Satanists who worship or worshippers of evil deities from different cultures. Those who synchronize best to him are low or deranged individuals whose lives are guided by evil. Dark empathy. It allows you to intensifies all dark feelings of those individuals that you're in contact with. It's basically a strong aura of evil that brings out the worst in people around you. That's a cool power just to have for flavor and stuff. You worship the devil and you bring out the darkest aspects of their being, whether that makes them a murderer, a monster of other description, or whatever else. If people are on the edge of breaking and going into violence, this power would likely push them over the edge. Eyes of the evil. You're able to perceive the evil inside people, literally. And the more land you got, the more accurate as you can to see the evil lurking deep within. And then bring it out with dark empathy. A cool little combo of 2 abilities. They're very unique, and I like them. Lords of Sins. The character stirs the capital sin most deeply rooted inside individuals. The arrogant will be consumed with conceit, and the gourmand will be overtaken by gluttony. The intensity and duration of the effect will depend on the fail level, and the MR or PSR check gains twice the LM level of the Lord of Sins. Uh, all you need to do to activate this ability is glance at someone for a few minutes or talk to them. But with Eyes of Evil, this is how you could pick your mark to cause a horrible tragedy, right? You find someone who is very aggressive, angry, and then you make sure they are weak of will after talking to him for a bit, and then you incite that anger and send them off on a killing spree. Now, mechanically, why do you want to do this? Well, you're evil. That's why. You want to cause chaos and destruction. And that's what you're doing by inciting the darkness inside this person. Dark being. Evil has taken so badly into the character's soul that it contaminates him, completely slowly turning him into an evil creature. From then on, he achieves status equivalent to that of a dark elemental, brimming with sheer evil. A potent evil aura will appear as a result of supernatural protection performed on the dark being. That means suddenly you're evil, and that's how you know the difference between someone who's evil and not evil. This ability right here. So a character of Dark Being would be affected by stuff like Power Aura from the previous Beryl or Destroyer of Evil. So be careful, because Paladins now kill you extra good. But that's okay, you're evil and you like it. Soul Corruptor. Characters able to influence people's souls, perverting their spirits with evil. Even the purest of individuals will become twisted and evil if he should fail on a Mard check against the Soul Corruptor's Alarm level plus 60. The effects will only be temporary unless the victim fails for over 40 points. It is necessary to talk or look into someone's eyes for a long period of time to corrupt them. Those passing a check will be considered immune to the ability for as long as the corruptor maintains his or her land level. Demonic Incarnation. Now, you might have said earlier, DM, why the fuck would I even take Dark Being? For this ability, because you need it. Evil transforms the very essence of the characters and turns them into true demons for all practical purposes. Demonic Incarnation grants character twice their land points in DP, which allows them the chance of choosing any of the supernatural powers described in Chapter 26 like a Genosis 25 creature would. Keep in mind that it turns them into a true demon for all practical purposes. That means now you are also subject to the effects of summoning abilities. So you can be summoned, bound, controlled, and even banished. So this ability makes you a bit weaker to summoners, but it grants you great powers that you gain over time and lets you basically use a land points like DP, which is great. It's a very good power. Destroyer of the Sacred. It's like Destroyer of Evil, but the opposite. You deal double damage to good aligned creatures, basically. It works on physical attacks as well as magical spells. Pretty good. Gift of Evil. Like an evil magnet, the bearer of the gift will attract dozens of creatures and people of a negative nature who will feel seduced by his or her presence. They will not be obliged to obey, but will be fascinated enough by his or her empathy with evil as to be receptive to directions or suggestions. This is like your version of Yahad, except for you're more tempting them with evil. Demonic Summoning. This gift establishes a link between characters and the Abaddon demons, allowing to summon them for a variety of reasons. These are supernatural creatures of varied natures, like the Lords of Darkness of the Surface Abaddon or other entities of a markedly evil nature. None of them are forced to obey, but they generally act guided by blood pacts in exchange of souls or other items that may awaken their interest. Whoever calls on these beings may do so on their own behalf or simply to connect them with other interested parties. Characters will be entitled to one summoning per month with the option of sacrificing one land point per summon they should wish to use this ability further within the same period. So, you get the summon demons. If you want to summon demons and make weird deals with them by sacrificing the souls of people around you to pay for them, pretty cool. I like it. It's very thematic and it can be very useful in game as well. But be wary whom you make deals with. They may end poorly. Soul Devourer. Already transformed into a demonic entity, characters are granted the capability of feeding on the souls of evil individuals with which they greatly increase their own power. In order to devour a spirit, they must have some right to it in the form of a pact or other kind of dominion. At the time of the individual's death, the devourer claims his or her rights to the soul and feeds on it immediately or keeps it for later. You get 20 life points or Xeon points every point the consumed essence had in power. If they are both already at the top, the devourer can increase his or her own characteristic at a rate of +1 out of 5 power points of the consumed soul. This method will not allow characters to pass 15 in any of their attributes. Advantages acquired through this gift will vanish at 1 point per day rate. So, if you make lots of deals, you can have 15 power all the time. Or heal all of your life points or Xeon points by just devouring a bunch of souls you save for later. It's kind of a meh ability, to be honest. Like, it's not that great. But it's very thematic and cool that you can carry like a bag of souls, and should you be low on life or Xeon, you can just consume a bunch of them to gain a bunch. Finally, the seed of evil, of the devil. Sorry, not evil. Abaddon is the very essence of darkness. An evil that even demons fear. This is why once a character attains this level of synchronization, he is able to pass his seed unto others, thus perverting their souls until they are transformed into truly demonic entities. Anyone receiving this baptism of evil become a being between worlds or spirit of gnosis between 20 to 30 with a maximum of 200 additional development points with which to choose essential abilities and powers of supernatural creatures. The chosen one decides the number of DP and dose levels he will endow. He may increase up to their full value if he does not grant them all at once. The seed of the devil may only be granted to really evil people or creatures who wish to obtain the power it entails. This is great. Once you have somehow killed your way to the top of the devil's love list, suddenly your followers are now an army of demons who are willing to do services for you for more powers. You don't dare give them all the 200 of those development points straight away. You must make them work for it, earn it. Earn their loyalty, and make them the generals of your army, while the weaker ones stand below. To gain a land, you must be swept away by dark feelings, committing really evil actions, vague, but if you're doing shit of this stuff, then you're getting that one every time. Spreading that evil among a large number of people, originating evil or devil worshipping cults, or leading others into sin. Once you're up to 50 land, though, you have to work a bit harder. You have to corrupt a pure person's heart or cause a major evil in the world. And you lose a land by helping others without personal gain or committing good deeds. This guy is rather hard to get a land with because there's not a lot of stuff you can actually physically do to get it besides being evil. So you better be ready to make a lot of enemies if you want to get to the 100 land mark for this guy. I'm going with these guys a bit faster. If we're lucky, I might be able to actually finish up the last few of them in this video. Out of curiosity, where are we right now? It's right, Barakia. We'll see. We're at 30 minutes. If we're lucky, we might get to the rest. If not, I might have a short other last part. Anyways, Brachial, the perfect god. Brachial is a powerful deity who incarnates the concept of order and perfection. She thinks of herself as the greatest and highest of all powers, outdone only by Ciel herself. The only entity she admires and worships. The goal of her philosophy is to lead all civilizations into a perfect order of absolute equality. She thinks the way to achieve this is by establishing strict laws that govern every aspect of human life. She abhors chaos and instability and fosters the advancement of the exact sciences like mathematics and mechanics. She has a tense relationship with her sisters. In her opinion, all of them are weak and imperfect. Her attitude has caused several open conflicts with Mikhail, whose privileged position next to their master she covets. She is extremely strict and her chosen ones and followers and demands them to maintain a scrupulous order and never to make mistakes. Those who fail rarely receive a second chance to please her. She is vain and likes to feel adored in all of the identity she takes on as a deity of order, law, and the sciences. She synchronizes with narcissistic people who are endowed with great abilities or powers and who, above all, conduct their lives in orderly fashion. She also favors scientists and those who worship her in any of her faces. So, as I said before, not all Shajads are evil, and not all Beryls are really good either. Barakiel is a good one where I wouldn't say she's good at all. She's a little evil in her own way. But aesthetics, whatever the character does is beautiful. They get a land bonus equal to their secondary ability. Blah! Let's retry that again. They get a bonus equal to their land to style. Very simple, kind of boring. Typical secondary ability boosting ability. Style does literally nothing in the game, so it literally does nothing but make you more stylish. Which, if you want, that's perfect. Style may do nothing, but it is still the best skill in the game. Attractive bearers, the gift are capable of attracting attention towards themselves wherever they go, and raise the interest of all those they meet. Unfortunately, characters cannot help being the center of attention at all times, which can be either a benefit or a disadvantage depending on the situation. Do you want to be hot stuff? This is the one you take, man. If you don't care, then you don't take it. Scientific knowledge. Thanks to Brachial carries a vast knowledge of all scientific fields. You get your Elan to the science skill. Yeah, that's all it does. Boring, but you know what? It makes sense for where her motif is, getting better at skills. So I like it. It's very thematic. Sensing imperfections. It grants the possibility of strongly sensing imperfections in everyone's behavior and body. The character will easily recognize personality traits in others, such as an unstable or nervous disposition, disproportionate face features, ill health, etc. This is great. This is a way you can find weaknesses not only in people you're talking to, but in enemies you're fighting. An imperfection, after all, is a weakness. So you would sense that, oh, this guy has a core in his body. If I strike, I could destroy him. That's an imperfection. This is great. This lets you see those kinds of chinks in the armors of very powerful monsters, making it a very good advantage. Or not advantage, power. I would recommend getting this one. It's really good. Just to find, because there are a lot of monsters in Anima that have like spots where if you hit them there, they just die. And those spots have like 20 health or something stupid. So, yeah, it's really good. Sensing order. It allows you to perceive the natural order of things as well as any chaotic or supernatural alteration in their surroundings. It sense law, basically. You can see law and I'll know if there's chaos happening or other weird alterations around you. The more land you got, the better it is. Very simple. Perfect beauty. What this really does is once per week, you increase your appearance by 1 until it becomes 10. So if you don't want to just attract people but want to be real sexy, this is the one for you. You roll like a 1 on your appearance, give it 9 weeks and you'll turn into a beautiful person. You just got to get to the land. But you need this ability to get the perfect body as well. This gift will operate changes on the bearer's body until it is transformed to the ideal prototype of a member of his race in height, weight, and proportion. This way, the character can reach inhuman difficulty checks and no longer be affected by fatigue. On top of this, this will not receive aging negative bonuses. So what this means, this is actually an upgrade and a downside. Now, this means you cannot lose fatigue points, but you can't use them either. You're untiring. So you lose that mechanic of the game, but that means you never need to sleep, you never get tired, and if for some reason a creature ages you supernaturally, you're immune to it basically because it does nothing to you. It makes you look older, but you're fucking still appearance 10, so who cares? Great ability. It's very defensive. The only downside is you can't use fatigue points anymore to benefit yourself. Order Aura. Uh, Basically you make chaos disappear gradually from your surroundings. Things fall into place, and unusual or strange events become less frequent. If you hate bullshit, well, they get rid of the bullshit. Also, guys of lower than 10 notes surround you. They acquire a greater sense of order and a new respect for the law. So if you're trying to bring order to a place, this is a great ability to do so. Miraculous Essence. By the time the character obtains this gift or her his or essence will be so close to Barakiel that all weaknesses or disadvantages will fade at a rate of 1 per month, until they can be completely ignored. This includes negative bonuses of both natural and supernatural creatures. So you lose all disadvantages, 1 per month, as well as any other negative ability you may have had. So that means if you have a stat below 5, it would become 5, probably, because that's a weakness or disadvantage. Your character creation disadvantage would go away at 1 per month as well as any other negative stats effect you may have picked up along the way. That's just really good. It's only useful really once, but if for some reason you get hit by a bad debuff and it's going to last like for more than a month, it'll go away, which is nice. Unable to err. When you reach this point, you are free from making mistakes on account of bad luck. You cannot fumble anymore. You still get the negative bonus from rolling a, if you follow the rules written, a 10, but to be honest, you should just flip that rule on its head and say a 1 and make it so higher is better, because that just makes it easier and makes more sense than Anima, to be honest. That's how I'd recommend that. But basically, you don't fumble, but you can still get a -2 for rolling the low end on your characteristic checks. Divinity in body and soul. It allows you to push characters one step beyond their physical and spiritual evolution, allowing them to reach an almost divine perfection in all aspects of their being. Once granted the gift, it causes characters to rise at a rate of 1 point per month until they reach a natural base of 10, to which all modifiers or bonuses according to the race are to be added. So if you're a Duke's Reese, you get 11 on your stats. Though keep in mind, this does not reduce any of your stats, it only increases them. So if you have an 11 in another stat, it wouldn't go down. Instead. Immortality. When you have 90 a land and you've picked up perfect body and stuff, this is, the one before this is like the best part about it, but it gets better. You stop aging and become immune to diseases or natural venoms. And I assume it also means you cannot die of old age. You may only die at this point from violent causes. And finally, their ultimate ability, absolute perfection. What it does is it lets you don't get to open roll anymore. However, you always roll 100 in all your checks. And in all of your character checks, you'd roll a 1, or if you prefer to do it the smart way and flip it on its head, you always roll a 10. You always get the best result, though, in all your rolls. And that's it. You roll 100 and everything. This ability is good because you can build your character around getting absolute perfection and just not need to open roll. If you're a powerful mentalist, physical increase, open rolling doesn't matter if you roll 100 every time. And the only downside, though, is that you are vulnerable to enemies who go of a quote-unquote luck build, where they open roll on doubles and stuff. Those characters will probably wreck you still, if they get lucky. But you're not about luck. You're about consistency of this kind of character. And if you want to be consistent, this is the way you go. You are consistently always very good with the brachial powers. But you cannot get lucky and become exceptional is the issue. But if that's what you want to go with, someone who wants to be perfect, then this is the route you go down. To gain a land, you must you must be the object of praise and admiration on the account for his or your actions. Just worshipping Barakiel gives you 2 every session. Promoting Law and Order gives you 2 every session you do it. Undoing a chaotic situation gives you 3 every session you do it. Making an important scientific advancement gives you 5 every session you do it. And showing off your cool skills gives you 2 every time you do it. Real good. Once you got 50, being considered a divinity gives you 2, so you better show off your cool powers to be considered a god. Inducing society into order and law gives you 3. And showing the true meaning of perfection, so just being awesome, gives you a 1. If you show weakness, act inconsistently or chaotically, break the laws, or objectively failing something important, then you lose quite a bit of a land quickly. So I was doing some thinking while I was talking, and I've decided that I'm going to end the video here. This video is only like 40 minutes long right now, and my thought process is that I'd likely get to the hour mark before I got through the last three, and I don't want to do a video where I only covered two or maybe even just one of these guys, so I'm going to save the last three for a final video where I'll take care of all three of them, and we can finish this series of going through all the shot and barrel. I'd rather go with a bit of a shorter episode only because I think it makes the topic more digestible. And the point of these videos is to better explain Anima and all of its weirdness. And I hope you guys enjoy it despite it being less than an hour. If you do enjoy it, you know the shit. Ring bells, give me some likes, give me some subs, I don't care. These videos I make are mostly to help my players themselves, so I can just point them to a video. If they have a topic and I don't have time to explain to them, then they can listen to the video, and they have questions, they can ask me the questions. But I hope this helps you guys out, understand Anima, because it's a weird beast. And next time, so tomorrow probably, we'll be covering Ariel and the rest of his brothers and antagonists. See y'all on the flip side.